When Wicked for Good stars Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande woke up to their Golden Globe nominations, they had every reason to celebrate. But what nobody saw coming was about to send shockwaves through Hollywood. The movie itself didn't get nominated for Best Picture Musical or Comedy. Not even close. And that's just the beginning of a morning that turned the entire awards race upside down. The 83rd Golden Globes nominations arrived like a bombshell, and the fallout is already reshaping everything we thought we knew about this year's race to Oscar glory. Battle after another stormed in with 9 nominations. Sentimental Value surprised everyone with 8, and Sinners grabbed 7. But the real story? It's not who made it in, it's who got brutally shut out, and the reasons behind these choices are darker than anyone expected. Let's start with the biggest gut punch of the morning. Wicked for Good seemed untouchable. The sequel to last year's phenomenon had everything going for it. Massive box office numbers, 2 beloved stars, songs that dominated social media, director John M. Chu fresh off the first film's success, every single box checked. Both Erivo and Grande secured their nominations in acting categories. The music got recognized with 2 Best Original Song nods for No Place Like Home and The Girl in the Bubble. And the film even landed in the Cinematic and Box Office Achievement category. So voters clearly loved parts of this movie. They praised the performances, they celebrated the music, they acknowledged its commercial triumph. But they refused to nominate the actual film itself for Best Picture. That's not just a snub. That's voters sending a very specific message, and what that message reveals about the sequel is causing panic behind the scenes.
Here's what insiders are whispering. The first Wicked had all the best songs from the Broadway show, Defying Gravity, Popular, the moments everyone remembers. For Good, by contrast, carries the darker second act, the emotional weight, the tragic turns. Reviews reflected this split, noting the sequel's heavier tone didn't generate the same viral enthusiasm. Social media buzz dropped noticeably compared to the first film's frenzy. And Golden Globe voters, who often reward crowd pleasers and spectacle, apparently decided this wasn't the feel-good musical experience they wanted to champion. Even worse for the film's Oscar hopes, John M. Chu got snubbed for Best Director for the second year running, despite taking both films to massive commercial success. That's Hollywood telling you something, and what they're really saying is that popularity alone doesn't guarantee prestige. But that's not even the worst part. Notice what else happened. Avatar: Fire and Ash, James Cameron's highly anticipated third entry in his sci-fi saga, also missed Best Picture. Both blockbusters got relegated to that Cinematic and Box Office Achievement category, which basically exists to throw blockbusters a bone without giving them real recognition. It's the participation trophy of the Golden Globes. The message is crystal clear. Big box office numbers aren't enough anymore. Voters want substance, and they're not afraid to publicly reject even the biggest names and franchises if they don't deliver what judges consider worthy of true awards consideration. So who's actually dominating? Leonardo DiCaprio and Paul Thomas Anderson's one battle after another swept in with 9 nominations, including Best Picture Musical or Comedy, Best Director for Anderson, and Best Actor for DiCaprio. This black comedy action thriller about ex-revolutionaries reuniting to rescue a missing daughter apparently hit every note voters wanted. The film, which took Anderson 20 years to develop and draws inspiration from Thomas Pynchon's Vineland, cost somewhere between $130 and $175 million to make. That's a massive gamble for Warner Bros. On an original story from a director whose previous biggest hit, There Will Be Blood, only made $76 million total. But critics loved it with a 94% rating, audiences responded with over $200 million at the box office so far, and now it's the frontrunner for basically everything.
DiCaprio plays Bob Ferguson, a washed-up former radical living off-grid in a state of paranoid isolation with his teenage daughter Willa, played by newcomer Chase Infinity. When his past catches up and his daughter disappears, he's forced back into his old revolutionary life. Sean Penn plays the villain, a military colonel named Lockjaw, and apparently Penn's performance is so layered and vulnerable that he's stealing scenes from DiCaprio himself. Benicio del Toro, Regina Hall, and Teyana Taylor round out the ensemble, and voters clearly couldn't resist this combination of political thriller, family drama, and explosive action filmed in VistaVision. The real shock, though? Hall didn't get nominated, despite everyone saying her brief appearance makes a massive difference to the film. That tells you how stacked this year's competition really is. Right behind One Battle After Another comes Sentimental Value with 8 nominations. This Norwegian family drama from Joachim Trier apparently came out of nowhere to become a serious contender. Neon, the distributor behind it, leads all studios with 21 nominations total across their slate. They're also pushing It Was Just an Accident, The Secret Agent, and Sirat in the Best International Feature race, meaning they could potentially sweep all 5 Oscar slots in that category. That would be unprecedented, and it shows how international cinema is absolutely taking over Hollywood's biggest awards. Michael B. Jordan's Sinners grabbed 7 nominations, including Best Picture Drama for Ryan Coogler's genre-blending horror period piece. Jordan got his acting nomination, but here's where it gets controversial. The rest of the acclaimed cast got completely ignored. Miles Caton, Delroy Lindo, Wunmi Mosaku, Haley Steinfeld, all shut out despite critical praise for their performances. That's the kind of snub that creates real tension because it suggests voters only cared about the star power and the director, not the actual ensemble work that makes the film special.
Julia Roberts surprised everyone with a nomination for After the Hunt, a film that got terrible reviews. Dwayne Johnson scored an unexpected nod for Best Drama Actor in The Smashing Machine, but voters also threw in an unexpected Best Supporting Actress nomination for his co-star, showing some love beyond just The Rock's star power. Eva Victor landed a shocking Best Drama Actress nomination for Sorry Baby, a film most people haven't even heard of, while Sydney Sweeney got completely snubbed for Christy, despite massive expectations and a huge promotional campaign. That's the kind of unpredictable chaos that makes the Globes both fascinating and frustrating. Television had its own drama. The White Lotus and Adolescence led the TV field with strong showings. The Globes introduced a new Best Podcast category this year. And despite being the most popular podcast on every major platform, the Joe Rogan Experience didn't make the cut. Neither did Ben Shapiro, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, or even the liberal Pod Save America. Instead, voters went with NPR, Dax Shepard, Amy Poehler, and other establishment voices, suggesting the Globes wanted nothing to do with controversial political podcasters, regardless of their popularity or political alignment. Here's what this all means for the Oscars. The Academy nominations get announced January 22nd, and the Globes just gave everyone a roadmap. One Battle After Another is the frontrunner. Sentimental Value is the dark horse international contender. Sinners has momentum. Frankenstein, from Guillermo del Toro, Hamnet, It Was Just an Accident, and The Secret Agent all landed drama nods and remain in the Oscar conversation. But Wicked for Good just took a massive hit to its chances, and Avatar Fire and Ash is struggling despite Cameron's track record. The musical comedy category continues to gain respect with genuinely strong contenders instead of just being the consolation bracket, with Blue Moon, Bugonia, Marty Supreme, No Other Choice, and Nouvelle Vague all getting recognition alongside One Battle After Another.
The other major story is what didn't happen. Catherine Bigelow's House of Dynamite got almost completely shut out despite Netflix's big push. The Jennifer Lopez and Tonatiuh vehicle Kiss of the Spider Woman vanished. Knives Out sequel Wake Up Dead Man didn't register. George Clooney got nominated for Jay Kelly, but the film itself missed Best Picture. Timothée Chalamet's Marty Supreme got into Best Picture Musical Comedy, and he got an acting nod, but director Josh Safdie and supporting actresses Gwyneth Paltrow and Odessa A'zion got ignored, raising questions about whether that Christmas Day release can build momentum before Oscar voters weigh in. The ceremony airs live January 11th on CBS with returning host Nikki Glaser. Before that, there's Golden Week with events including Golden Eve honoring Sarah Jessica Parker with the Carol Burnett Award and Helen Mirren with the Cecil B. DeMille Award. But the real action is what happens next. Guild nominations from SAG, DGA, WGA, and PGA start rolling out, and those will either confirm what the Globe suggested or completely upend everything again. What the nominations prove is that this year's race is genuinely unpredictable. International films are surging, blockbusters are struggling despite massive box office, star power matters but not as much as it used to, and voters are willing to make bold, controversial choices that defy conventional wisdom. One battle after another has the momentum right now, but Sentimental Value could pull off a major upset. Sinners has the genre-breaking appeal, and there's still time for late entries to shake everything up before Oscar ballots get cast. The real question is whether the Academy follows the Globe's lead or goes its own direction. Because if Wicked for Good can't recover from this snub and Avatar Fire and Ash can't find traction, we're looking at an Oscar race dominated by smaller films, international voices, and genuine surprises instead of the usual blockbuster versus prestige battle. And that might be exactly what Hollywood needs right now, even if it's not what the studios banking on massive franchises wanted to hear.